Hey everyone, Disappointed Giant here. So welcome to the first video in a 6-video series that is going to focus not on Dead Cells, as you can tell by the intro here, but this is going to be a long play series on Returnal, which is one of my favorite games of all time. It's the reason why I bought a PS5. It's the reason why I still have a PS5. This game's absolutely incredible, and I've been playing a lot of it recently, and I've really wanted to dig into this game. And there's been I don't know if hesitancy is the right word, but there's been a little bit of trepidation about uploading videos of non-Dead Cells games onto the channel for various reasons, but I really love this game, and it's really important for me to take the time to showcase it and talk more about it, and to just give this game the respect that it deserves, because like I said, it's one of my favorite games of all time. And it's I've been playing this game on and off for however long it's been out. What's it been? 3 years, 4 years, whatever it's been. I've been playing this game for a long time, and it's still one of the best in my opinion. So it's really important for me to put this series together. So let's do a little bit of housekeeping. As always, let's start with some of the boring stuff. So the first thing I wanted to mention is that there is a lot of motion in this game. So obviously, it's not side-scrolling like Dead Cells. There are a lot of, as you can see right here, a lot of quick camera movements that I make. There's a lot of motion, sometimes motion in one direction where I'm facing another. So if you struggle with motion sickness or gets activated by some sort of 3D motion type stuff like that, I just wanted to put a disclaimer there, because this video and the whole series are going to be full of that. That's just the way that I play. It's unfortunately, for you folks that may struggle a bit with that, that's just sort of the way that's the way the game is. And the other thing is that I'm not really going to showcase a lot of story stuff. I think there might be one or two scout logs, which are just sort of like audio files that I'm going to be talking over anyway, so you may not even hear them. But aside from those, there's no real story spoilers, except for the third video and the sixth video will have full endings. There's two endings that I'm going to showcase here. And I'll give warnings before them. I'll put notes in the descriptions for those. But at least for this video and the next one, and for the majority of the third, we're not going to be dealing with story spoilers, but we are going to be dealing with ability spoilers. So you can see right here, probably should have said that before it happened. Right there is, you do not begin the game with the ability to go underwater. That's something that you get later. So thinking of Metroidvania type stuff, if you want to think of Dead Cells as runes, that's probably a good example, where you get abilities, and then those abilities will allow you to come back to earlier areas and either find new weapons, or just sort of like that, find little things where you can get more money or more health or whatever it is. So I do have all of the abilities here, so I'm definitely going to be showcasing them, whether I always call them out or not. So just wanted to give that warning. And what else? Yeah, so like I said, this is the first video out of 6. There's going to be a lot happening here. There's a lot of stuff to cover. If you have not seen my Returnal's Beginner's Guide, I recommend watching it, just because it's going to give you a lot of fundamentals that I will get to, throughout this video or throughout the first couple videos, but it'll give you a little bit of a head start. So if I pick up a parasite or I get a malfunction before I have the chance to really dig into what those are, you'll have a little bit of a better idea of sort of what's going on. And yeah, just talking a little bit about respect in the game. I've done a lot of good stuff on this channel, in my opinion. I've the tutorial series, the Dead Cells tutorial series, especially just the 0 to 5 stuff, was super helpful for a lot of folks, and it was kind of like a defining thing for me, as far as being comfortable putting myself out there and talking about something I'm passionate about, and wanting to help people and stuff. But if I were to pick a favorite video, if I were to pick one video, if someone was like, hey man, like, I heard you got a YouTube channel, I don't watch a lot of videos, I only have like 20 minutes, can you show me what your channel is all about? I would actually pick my Returnal Beginner's Guide. Even though most of the other videos that I've done are more important and have helped a lot more people, that video is my favorite. So I don't know why I had to share that. I guess I just had to share that to show you show you how much I love this game too, right? But like I said, there's a ton of stuff. Again, anything that you're going to see a bunch of things that I'm not going to immediately talk about. I will talk about them at some point. I'm going to do my best, but there's a lot of ground to cover here. Again, especially if you haven't seen that beginner's guide. Which, like I said, it's going to give you a lot of the basic game mechanics and stuff. But you also clearly you don't have to watch that. I'm not trying to get you to watch it if you don't want to. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what I'm going to do here. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick up something called the Parasite here. So you'll see. Is this it? Yeah. So you'll see here, it's called Parasite. This one in particular was called Jolting Shatterskin, and basically what it is it's mostly, I guess you could say mostly permanent effect. So basically there's two things on it, right? So each parasite has a positive and a negative effect. So I think in my beginner's guide, I equated them to the chaos boons from Hades, where basically you will have something positive, but there's something negative to balance it out. The challenge here is that once you pick up a parasite, for the most part, you're going to be stuck with it. There are areas in the game where you can remove parasites, but it doesn't let you pick which one. You can just keep removing them. So if you have 4 parasites and there's one you don't want, you might go into this area, the parasite harvester, I think it's called. You might use the harvester, and you'll have to remove all 4 to get the one that you want off. So for the most part, like I'm saying, they're pretty much mostly permanent. There's items that you can use to detach a parasite, but they're again, I think it detaches all of them. I'm pretty sure a parasite harvester detaches all the parasites. So I look at them as more permanent upgrades. I don't pick them up unless they are going to give me some sort of bonus that's worth it, or the negative bonus is not so bad that it's not going to change my run. So the one that I picked up there, the Shatterskin, that basically the negative effect is when I use it, or I should say, let me do the opposite. The positive effect is it gives me an extra life. So when I die, that parasite's going to detach. That's the positive. The negative is that I will get 2 malfunctions, which are kind of like sort of like curses, and we'll talk more about those once we start getting them. So for me, I decided that was worth it. An extra life in this game is insanely valuable because early game here is super hard. So I got really lucky picking that up. And I also got really lucky here. So I think there's like 9 or 10 weapons in Returnal. Like I was mentioning, you get some upgrades. I used a grapple hook there. You get that in the second biome. But this room is rare. It's a rarely generated room in the first biome that will show up after you beat the second boss and you get that grappling hook. And it unlocks a new weapon. So this weapon is called the Rot Gland Lobber. It's like some of the items in this game just sound so wild. But the best way to describe this is it's sort of like the Returnal equivalent of an alchemic carbine. So it's going to shoot out a green projectile that will poison the enemy and do damage over time. It's a really, I like this weapon a lot. I like every weapon in Returnal. I'm not trying to be funny here. I legitimately enjoy every single weapon. But this one in particular is really fun. You'll see once you hit an enemy with it, the health bar turns green and it just starts ticking down. So you can hit an enemy, hide behind, I'm not really doing a great job here, but you can like hide behind a pillar, hide behind a wall or something like that and just let it tick. So I was very fortunate to find that. You'll also see in the bottom left-hand corner, there is something that says Bouncing Rot. So what that is that's called a weapon trait. So every weapon in this game, I think each weapon has a total of, it's either 10 or 12 traits that it can get. And when you pick up a weapon that does not have a trait unlocked, you'll see that. It'll say 0% when you pick the weapon up. When you see the weapon trait on it, it will have the name. It'll be grayed out. It'll say 0%. And then as you start to use the weapon, that bar is going to fill up. So you'll see it's about halfway full. For level 1 traits, you can see the 1 to the right of the words Bouncing Rot. For level 1 traits, you have to kill 15 enemies. So those are pretty easy to unlock. You can basically unlock them in a room or 2. And the more weapon traits you have, the better chance that you have of getting a strong gun. These traits are super important. If you start off in the first room both in this biome and in biome 4. You start off with nothing but the starter pistol and no weapon traits, so it's really, really challenging at first if you do not have a gun that actually has additional capabilities. What these traits do is that they modify the gun in a certain way. I'm getting tooled on here. So basically, what I already forgot what was it caustic rot? I already forget what the what the weapon trait was. But basically, like, each trait here, so the different rots will do different things. So like if you hit an enemy with caustic rot, it will do more damage over time if you hit it directly with a projectile. If you get bouncing rot, you can actually bounce your projectiles off the walls or off the floors. And the higher gear quality you get, which we'll talk about in a little bit, the higher gear quality that you get, or I should say the higher proficiency level that you're at, the more weapon traits that you can find. So early on here, we're generally going to only see one weapon trait. Once you get to proficiency level 5, like if you look in the bottom left-hand corner next to the star, you'll see them at level 2. Once you get to level 5, you see 2 traits on a weapon. Once you get to level 10, is it level 10? I think when you get to level 10 or 11, you see 3 traits. So obviously the more traits you have, the better chance you'll have of having a weapon that performs really well. And, you know, like I think I was mentioning, you know, unlocking that trait here on this gun was super important. And the best way to progress in Returnal as far as meta progression, more important than, you know, unlocking items or whatever, you know, finding the what are those things called? There's like a language here you can find like characters in the game, like, you know, finding those things. Oh my god, I can't forget I don't remember what they're called. I know I find one at some point. We'll go back to it, but it's the most important thing. So the more weapon traits you unlock, the more progress you'll be able to make, and then get more weapons, unlock more weapon traits, etc. So it's kind of here it comes. You knew it was coming. So it's kind of like the Forge, but it resets the Forge from Dead Cells, but it resets every run. So the more enemies you kill, and the more I think they're called broken calibrators you pick up, their pickups on the map, the better your proficiency level is going to get. So that little bar where the 2 is in the corner, it's going to make its way to the right. It's going to be a 3, it's going to be a 4, and that dictates the weapon gear level that you're going to find in general. So let's here this is a sort of a lore room that changes as the story progresses, but here is our first shop. So every shop you go in is going to have 4 items. There's going to be 2 suit artifacts, which are these things. They're just like little modifiers. There's always going to be a health item and then a secondary item. And I got lucky here. So this item here, the astronaut figurine, is also an extra life. So I think the order is the parasite will pop up first if I die, and then the astronaut figurine will go. But basically, I have 2 extra lives. And in a game like this, which is it's really challenging, especially at first, having that extra sort of disengagement / YOLO, like whatever you want to relate it to, is super, super important. So right off the bat, I know that besides getting lucky with getting that lobber drop, which is, you know, the lobber unlock, I should say, I have 2 extra lives already. So like I mentioned, I've been playing this game a lot I've played a lot of this game over the past several years, so I'm fairly confident in most of my abilities. So I'm not super worried about losing a run at this point. I think on this save file, I'm gonna sound like I'm bragging. I'm really not. I think on this save file I have 28 hours, and I think I only have 2 deaths or something like that. But again, that's after like probably 300 or 400 hours of playing this or whatever it is. But I'm very glad to see both of those, because that means that the footage that I'm going to get will be able to continue. So I know that, you know, I'll be able to make it through the first 3 biomes, and we're not gonna hit a game over, which is fantastic. So what I'm doing here is I'm picking up health. So anything on the map that is green is health. And the way that the health system works in Returnal is pretty counterintuitive. And, you know, I'm fine with it now, but I did not love it. I didn't love it for a while. And basically what that is that you will find those green pickups, and if you do not have full health, so if you look at my health bar right now, it's full, it's green, and it's kind of oscillating between a really bright neon green and like a more moderate color. That shows that you're at full health. All of the green items on the map, all of the health pickups are going to be what they call resin. They're not going to fill my health up. It's going to increase my maximum health. So when you have full health, you find more resin, and the more resin you have, the higher your max health will be. So if you are not having a great time, right? If you're still learning the ropes, if you're still kind of bouncing off the game and you know, trying to get your feet under you and figure things out, you're likely going to get hit a lot, which means that most of the green items that you're going to see on the map are going to be health pickups as opposed to maximum health increases. So I think I actually get hit here. I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah. I remember that very clearly because as I was playing this, I was like, all right, dude, I think this is the part where I'm going to try to talk about health. And then I took a hit and I was like, oh man, you got to be kidding me. But it's actually perfect though, because it will show like I'm going to be picking up other health pickups, which are called Silphium. That's just like your normal heals. But when you pick up a resin, if you look to the left of the health bar, you're going to see 2 white lines and then a grayed out one above it. So those 3 horizontal lines. Those are keeping track of how many resins I have. And once I have 3 of those filled up, my health bar is going to go up just a little bit. The counter is going to reset to 0. And then I need to pick up 3 more resins in order to increase my health. And the health increase is minimal. Like it's not, you know, like Dead Cells, you start off with like, you know, if you're doing survival, you get like 70% extra health or whatever. It's nothing like that. We're talking, I don't know, 5%. Like you'll see it here. So I'm pretty sure I just saw a green item behind this turret. Because I came in here with full health, all the green items I think are going to be resin. Yep, so you'll see here. So look at that. It barely did anything. Like, I think the amount that it increased was the actual, like, the green line. Like, you see there's the split there, and there's, like, that tiny, tiny little bit green to the right. I'm pretty sure that's how much it increased. So, little, like I said, little counterintuitive, but in a way it really teaches you how important it is to understand how to navigate through these environments, how to take enemies out while protecting yourself and, you know, taking the least amount of damage as possible, right? So I think how's that for perfect timing, right? So it's like I said, it's not the smartest thing, like right here. Yeah, so that's going to be a resin too. I think I just got lucky with that one, but you'll see. We'll start picking up some Silphium at some point, top off the health there. But like I said, you know, I have 2 extra lives here. So even though that elite enemy, and you'll know the elite ones because they have like I think I showed it here. I can't remember because it was 30 seconds ago. So my goldfish brain is already forgotten. But when elite enemies spawn in, you'll see it. It's almost like a black cloud. We're definitely going to see some later in one of the challenge rooms that I get to. It's like a black cloud, and you can see the form of the enemy before it takes shape. So you can kind of get a hint on what elite it is. And they have different abilities. You know, like I think that one was the one that jumped up and slams and does extra damage that way. Yeah. you gotta be careful. You gotta try not to get hit more so here than I feel like in other games. Like imagine if you couldn't get extra health in Dead Cells unless you had full health. Like, geez, that would be very difficult for some folks, right? And every elite that you defeat will leave a weapon. So all of the weapons in the game, you know, there's one up top. I'm actually going to recycle it using this item that I have here called the Weapon Harvester. They all have those red glow around them. So whenever you see a red glow, you can be 100% positive that it is it's a weapon. So green is always health, whether it's regular Silphium, again, which is going to heal you, or a Silphium resin, which is going to increase that little meter that you have on the left there. Right there, I just picked up a broken calibrator. That is one of the things that I mentioned that will increase your proficiency. And then here I'm going to pick up a key. So this is actually perfect timing. So both of those are blue. So you see that sort of blue light that was coming from it, which is good because it allows you to sort of, when you run around like crazy, it'll help you differentiate some of the stuff on the map. The blue items you always want to pick up. Here's another, almost like a little mini shop. Looks like these are upgrades where you can get, take less damage, whatever it is. I chose to pass on that because I wanted to save my money for other stuff. The blue items, always pick up. You don't have to worry about it. They're not going to be malignant, which is what gives you a malfunction, which we'll talk about at some point. They're not going to be whatever. It's always going to be beneficial because it's either going to give you a key, which will let you unlock a door or a chest, or it's going to give you more proficiency. So whenever you see those, don't even think about it. Just pick them up. When it comes to purple items, though, that's when you want to stop and think. And the next time I start to think about a malignant item, which is a purple one, I will get into that conversation a little bit more. Excuse me. So I don't think I mentioned this yet. So the video, how long? What are we looking at here? 30. All right. So we got about a 40-minute, 38-minute video here, whatever it is. I'm doing full clears. So similar to a lot of my Dead Cells long plays, I'm doing full clears here as I think about this parasite. I choose not to take it because the benefit and the downgrade basically cancel each other out. I get more health, but I take more damage. Doesn't make any sense. I'm doing full plays here. So basically I'm clearing every room. I'm killing every enemy. I'm getting as much money and as much health and other upgrades as I can. So if you're looking for someone that's going to have a little bit more of a snappy, a little bit more of like a Modesto style Returnal gameplay, this series is not going to be that. I feel like, similar to Dead Cells, the more stuff you get, the better you're setting yourself up for success, even if it's just killing every enemy to get obolites, which are the gold in this game. Whether you're clearing out rooms to make sure you don't miss any additional calibrators or silphium resin or whatever it is. So this is going to be a full long play where every biome is going to get completely cleared. So the good news, I guess, it's the good news or bad news, depending on how you look at it. It's going to give me more time to actually go into a lot of the mechanics and talk about important things. There's stuff like adrenaline that I want to get into, but I'm really trying to pace things as much as I can, with knowing that, if I don't get to some of the basics in this video, I will get to them as we go through. Again, this is going to be basically a post-commentary, really expanded version of my beginner's guide that's also going to have, obviously like real-time commentary on some of the stuff that happens and so on and so forth. So there you go. I just picked up a silphium. You can see that my health went completely full, and now I'll be able to pick up resin. So I mentioned something called a weapon harvester. So if you look above the health bar, there's three squares there, and there's three different, those are your consumable slots, so you can pick up those orange items as consumables. What I found is a consumable called a translocation sphere, and basically what those do is they teleport you to a room that has a bonus in it. So similar to, like I was saying, if you see a blue thing, just pick it up. If you get a translocation sphere, just use it, because it will free up that consumable slot, and it will also bring you somewhere. So you can see here, I was brought to a room where there's 3 chests. The blue chests that are not purple, like just like the regular chests that we just saw there, those always have a weapon in them, and there's a lot of them around, so you're definitely going to have tons of opportunities to change your weapons out and figure some of that stuff out. But I got another lobber, and you can see that this one does not have the durable rot trait on it yet. So basically similar to I think it was the caustic rot again. Caustic rock, that's really funny. Similar to the caustic rot, as I kill 15 enemies, oh my god, including this elite, I'm just destroying that elite, that will unlock, and then that will be part of the weapon trait pool that I can pull from. So it will be on this particular gun once I unlock it, and then moving forward, any lobber that I pick up will have the opportunity to have that trait. So yeah, so I picked that up, even though the gun that I had was pretty good. I decided to grab this one so that way I could unlock the trait. Another thing, so like I said, I destroyed that elite, and I think there's excuse me, I think in the challenge room, I do something similar, and I'll talk about it there too. But basically, every gun, in addition to its normal behavior, in addition to the weapon traits you can find and unlock, it has an alternate fire. And that is, if you look to the right of the proficiency, there's like a little, it almost looks like a sun, right? It's like a little orange square with the circle and lines coming from it. That is the symbol for the alt fire you have. And I think there's whatever, it's like 10 or 12 of them or something like that. Each gun can just randomly have an alt fire. They're not tied to any particular gun. They're not tied to any particular level. It's just every weapon that you pick up has an alt fire, and it could be any of them. And similar to weapon traits, like, yeah, you can see here, I have Void Beam. The other one had Shield Breaker. Shield Breaker will break a shield. Void Beam, when you use it, it pulls out that beam, that really, really strong beam that it was showing there. So each weapon has one of those, and this one in particular, the Void Beam that I have, is really powerful. It basically just has a concentrated beam that will take enemies out. And as I go into this challenge room here, I'm pretty sure that we're going to see it. Every biome has a challenge room, and they're all behind those like red doors. Let's see, I think is it going to happen here? Am I going to do it? Yeah, look at that. Void Beam just completely decimating that elite. It's like it didn't even have a chance to spawn in. But these challenge rooms have waves of three waves of enemies. So I cleared that first wave out very quickly. And here's the second one. Once you come in here, the door locks behind you, so you cannot leave. And then after you clear out the third wave, there's a locked door that's going to open. You can kind of see, I was going to say it just disappeared. You can see some icons on the side there. But there's always a bonus in there, right? There might be an artifact, which is kind of like a mutation. There could be extra health. There could be ether, which is sort of like a meta currency that allows you to either unlock new things or cleanse malignant items. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But basically, that's your reward, right? So it's sort of like, can you survive these 3 enemy encounters? And then if you do, congratulations, here's some cool stuff, right? There you go, another elite just getting taken out. That Void Beam is so good. This elite took a little bit longer to kill, but still the Void Beam was super good. And as you can see here, we got our colors, right? So we got consumables for orange. We have red weapons. Since I unlocked that durable rot now, I'm going to try to find a different weapon to take with me. And here we go. So I took that one because now it has enlarged chamber, which means I'm going to have 2 shots instead of 1. Picking up this suit artifact, again, like a mutation. I think it was melee execution. That one in particular, if you kill an enemy with your sword, it will shoot off 2 little lightning bolts that do like a little tick of damage. It's not too bad. But yeah, so, and the other thing too, like I was saying, you got your health around here. It looks like there's some ovolite pickup. So I always do challenge rooms, even in general, not just because I'm trying to showcase everything. I always go through challenge rooms, but if you choose to go through a challenge room, I recommend doing it towards the end of the biome, unless you have a super strong build, right? So like I was mentioning, you start the game off with just your basic pistol. If you go through like 2 rooms and you don't get any health upgrades and you don't get any weapon upgrades and you see a challenge room, like, don't. Like, do yourself a favor, unless you're trying to like make things super hard on yourself and you know, learn the hard way. Do not go in there. I'd recommend maybe doing it after you clear everything, maybe before the first boss or after you beat the boss, depending. You know, I chose to go in there because my build, I guess you can call it a build, you know, where I am right now in the run. Like I said, I'm feeling pretty confident. I have my 2 extra lives. Had a good weapon, good alt fire, so I knew that I could manage whatever's in there. But you know, for you, not for you, but in general, unless you're feeling super confident, it's best to wait. Just clear your stuff out. Again, get as much money and upgrades and health and artifacts and whatever, so that way the challenge room is just going to be, it'll be easier, right? And the other part of it too, like I was mentioning, the more enemies you kill, the more proficiency you get. So the more enemies you clear out before you go into the challenge room, the better your weapons will be because your proficiency level is higher. So kind of a long surprise, kind of a long-winded explanation there, but that's the vibe. So I really like the challenge rooms. You know, I have some other strategies for optimizing them, which I'm sure I'll get in, because we have we got 5 more of them as the video series goes on. So, but yeah, challenge rooms can be really fun, and they can also be really, really hard depending on what you got going on. So I mentioned, I don't even think I talked about this. I mentioned there's 6 videos in our series here. Each biome is going to be 1 video, but the way that the game is broke up is there are 2 acts in the game. The first act is biome 1, 2, and 3, and then the second act is biome 4, 5, and 6. And they're basically, the way I was describing it to Modesto, so it's basically like think of 2 chapters to the story, right? So once you finish biome 3, you'll start in biome 4, but it's not in the same run. You'll have it basically kicks you off from scratch. So I'm taking fall damage here. Oh, that's a shame. It's such a shame. So basically starts you off from scratch. So the other 5 biomes, we're going to do biomes 2 and 3 in this part here. Like I mentioned earlier, there's going to be a ending at the end of biome 3, and then we're going to start act 2 in biome 4. So I think what do we got here? We got like another 7 minutes. So I'm starting to make my way around, right? So I'm doing what I said I was going to do. I'm going to clear out as much as I can, just kind of like poking around and be like, all right, what can I get for health? How do I feel about my weapon? I don't remember if I replace my weapon for the boss or not. The boss only counts as 1 kill. There's no weight to it. So sometimes it's better, even if you're in the process of unlocking a weapon trait, if you know you have a stronger weapon on the map and you're going into a boss, just grab that other weapon. That 1 kill is not going to make a difference. Grab the stronger weapon, do whatever. And I think that might be part of, I could be wrong here, but I think that might be part of what I'm actually trying to do. As I'm taking my sweet time, just going through these rooms, like picking everything up. Another mechanic I do want to talk about is the adrenaline mechanic. So if you look underneath, right in the middle, there's a heartbeat. It says 5, and underneath that are different icons. When you kill enemies without getting hit, your adrenaline level will increase by 1. So you start with 0.0, and then it makes its way up. So I've killed whatever it is, 15, 16, 17 enemies, whatever it amounts to. I can't remember if it's 3 or 4. I've killed a bunch of enemies without getting hit, and every time you get an adrenaline level, you get a bonus. So you may have noticed that some of the enemies have like these orange circles around them. That means you can see them through walls because of adrenaline level 2. You get more obolites when you're adrenaline level 5, more proficiency at level 4, so you can kind of see the icons there, proficiency is the star or whatever. But it's a really important mechanic. We'll get more into it in the second video here, because I am about ready to take on the first boss of the game. So we are one of the parasites I have, the negative effect is I take damage from long falls, which is why I tried to dash as I was making my way down. So here's the first boss of the whole game here. So the way that I want to pronounce this boss's name is Frike, but I believe the actual pronunciation is Freaky or Freake or something like that, however it's called. But this boss is a great representation of what to expect as you make your way through and actually fight the other bosses in the game. You're going to see a pattern that is recognizable. There's all the attacks have tells. You'll be able to notice, like right there, Freaky kind of like did a thing with his hands, and then whenever he does that, the orbs or the bullets, whatever you want to call them, are going to come out in the same pattern. So it's easy. It's not easy to pick up, but you'll be able to pick up on them. But they also what Returnal does very well, especially in the boss fights, is it basically turns into a little bit of a bullet hell, right? So you can see all of those blue things coming at you. The way that those purple orbs fall from the sky, it actually reminds me of like I don't know if anybody here has played anybody here. I don't know if anybody who's watching or if you've played old cave games, like cave shooters, like was it like Ibarra and like Mushihime-sama? Like there's a bunch of, like, it reminds me of those sort of games. But yeah, so the bosses have all these crazy attacks, and generally what will happen is they'll add more, they'll get a little bit more modified as the phases go on. You can see on the top left of the boss's health bar, there's two yellow blocks and an empty block. Basically, the boss has three health bars. So once I get this one down, it's going to clear out that middle one, and then there's just going to be the left. So Freaky as a first boss, I think this is... I'm not going to say perfect, I feel like that's an exaggeration, but I think that this is an excellent first boss. If you don't know the patterns, he's going to give you a really tough time. He's going to send you back to the ship, run's going to be over pretty quick. But once you kind of get in the rhythm and you start to understand more of how the boss patterns work, and you'll find similarities between these bullet patterns, like it's going to feel more consistent. Like, so for example, every phase 2 and phase 3, he'll start with a strike like that. And then here's the additional phase 3 attack. So now those purple orbs, instead of coming from the ceiling, they're kind of spiraling out from him, and he's starting to mix and match, right? He comes at you with the overhead swing, and he's doing like the blue, and then, see, there's the ground flame. Like, there's a bunch of stuff going on. So really cool boss. Like it a lot. But yeah, so this is going to be a challenge for folks after, early in the game. If you're early in your Returnal, do I say career journey? You're early in your Returnal journey. This Freaky's going to end some runs pretty easily. But one of the things that I like about the bosses is their damage scaling is fair, right? So you'll notice if you're playing the game, like, you might get hit 3 or 4 times and almost die. Perfect timing. Freaky's on his way out. Every time you beat a boss, you also get an artifact, which are sort of like mutations. I don't think I talked too much about those. Again, we'll get into them more as the video series goes on. And you also get 5 ether, which are, as I mentioned, are like meta currencies. What was I talking about? It's talking about the boss. Couldn't have been that important, right? Couldn't have been that important. But yeah, Freaky's a great first boss. So now as I finish the boss fight, I'm coming over here. So there's always a health upgrade in every shop. So basically, however much it costs, 300 and something, whatever it was. I like to go at the end, unless I'm in dire straits and I really need extra health. I like to go at the end of the level after I've cleared out as much as I can, because that way I can maximize the amount of extra health I'm going to get, because it gives you an extra 25%. So if you have higher health, it's going to give you more. If you have lower health, it's going to give you less. So all right, we're actually getting our way towards the end of the first video here. So Freaky's down, cleared the whole map. What do? We talked about weapon traits, we talked about proficiency, talked a little bit about adrenaline, talked a bit about parasites. I'm trying to remember what else we talked about, but that's going to be it. So I'm going to be making my way over here. This is the portal to the second biome, which we're going to cover in video number 2. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was fun. And if you do like this, there are other videos in the series that you can check out. So hope you enjoyed it. As always, thanks for watching, and good luck out there.